Bezos getting jacked
When's-
and not being like a
When's our glow up coming?
Little
dweeb anymore,
steroids? Well, he's still a dweeb. He's just a jack dweeb.
dude.
Wait, who?
Bezos.
Oh,
I look back at my like younger photos and I look way better now. Way better.
Oh yeah.
Fine
You-
wine.
Yeah, you're aging. You're aging gracefully.
we did look at the
I was like,
Kilimanjaro
what
video
was
from
I
10 years ago.
Doing like
You kind of like grew into yourself.
I really did. I grew into my whole face structure, my
I got a
everything
funny idea.
changed.
Like one day, like come as your old self to the pod and just like have people be like, "Who are you?" It
yeah.
would be fun.
You didn't have what was different? You didn't have the full beard, right? Like, it was just like
Yeah,
kind of
I didn't have a
shaved
beard.
down.
Well, that was Kilimanjaro, so it had grown out because we were out camping.
Oh, that's right. So you
But I
had
didn't have a beard.
naked face.
I was like, yeah, clean shaven.
At that time, you
So
might have been the same like weight, but you looked like 20 pounds lighter or something.
it was pre calisthenics. My whole body changed. Like working out with Kyle Bogeman changed my entire body structure.
Shout out.
Widened the wings with all the pull-ups. You know?
I went back, tried to fit in some old dress shirts. Everything fits except the, what do you call it? The pull-up muscles on the side here. Everything else. So
Yeah, all my stuff is tight too. And I'm like, it's all because of the back.
yeah.
Yeah.
Eric's like, yeah, you guys do pull-ups. Cool.
Yeah.
Haven't
You should
worked
try
out.
one, bro.
Haven't worked out in a month.
Yeah. No, neither have I though. I haven't felt good about that.
What are we drinking today, boys? Seem a little light over there.
Yeah, I
do you
don't
got?
know. I'm 2 beers in, so like
Okay.
I hit my minimum, but I have I don't know. It just tickled me.
I really appreciate your, adherence to
yeah,
things.
perfect attendance on the two
On the two.
quota. Yeah, no, I have a rye and Coke, which I
Nice.
thought was just kind of weird, and I have a thing to kind of like tell you guys is that like I stopped drinking like hard liquor, sort of.
Yeah, you're more of a beer guy now.
Yeah, like I'm doing one here, but
Why?
I'm just old now, and my body doesn't handle the hard stuff like it once did. So I like to just maintain at
At
cruising
this rate,
altitude.
you're gonna need cranberry juice. soon.
Yeah, yeah. That might be too stiff.
Yeah.
All right. Well, welcome everyone to the Alfalfa Podcast. Thanks for joining us. Thanks for everyone in the chat. See it busy in there. What up, Matt? Juice, Ali, Jensinius. What's going on? Alan Bryce, AW, Rocket, Corby. Thanks for joining us live. Yeah, if you're listening to this on a recording, maybe on Apple Podcasts or Spotify or YouTube later on, come join us live Wednesdays at 5 p.m. and hop in the chat. It makes it fun for everyone. Today we only have Eric, Armand, and Nick. Steven is
We don't know.
we don't know. We don't know where
Just
Steven
say
is.
you don't know.
I think he might be on his way to Denver, but
Nope.
no.
He ejected.
Okay.
Well, none of us are making it to eat Denver, and that's a shame. Because
Well, no, I think he might still be going, just not today. Maybe.
maybe not. Yeah, maybe,
Oh.
maybe not. But it is a shame that we're
This
not.
is the first one.
It's a shame that we're not going to be there,
missed.
and I'm guessing that Steven's not going to be there either. But that sucks because that's such a good time.
It's such a good time. Shout
Yeah.
out to all the Alfalfa fam there.
He's also may have a bigger crush on another podcast, Irresponsibly Long. I saw him live there just hours ago.
Yeah, I'm not sure how I feel about that.
He went solo.
Got to remind him where he came from.
I don't like that. I
He
don't
went
like
solo
it.
on Alfalfa Pod Day to do Irresponsibly Long.
Well, if you're missing,
Alfalfa will always be the daddy.
remember who your daddy is. Well, if you're missing Steven right now, I think you can go to magiclines.xyz.
.xyz
Is there a /alfalfa?
/alfalfa. Yeah.
Good.
Slash
Goddamn right.
alfalfa. And I don't think the discount code is available anymore, but if you go to that, you can join the Magic Lines Premium, where Steven spends 95% of his waking day in there, talking trade ideas, market thoughts, and we're definitely going to miss his thoughts today as we talk about, are we still in a bull market?
Anything going on in the markets?
Nah,
Wait, do we need to negotiate a new coupon code? Like, what's going on?
it expired.
No.
Introductory
We
offer.
need a new one. Reduced, not the same discount, but,
Oh, for alfalfa
tier
listeners
of-
only.
yeah.
Okay, I like that.
No. Alfalfa listeners had their window.
Urgency and scarcity.
Yeah,
Real deadlines.
That's some black hat marketing. I don't like that.
these guys should know.
We
We
call those
about scarcity.
dark patterns. Yeah, but anyway, check it out. All links are in the Discord. I thought Steven might have showed up in the chat. Shucks. Andrew Cohen in the chat says Steven needs to be reminded who daddy is.
Yeah,
Who is your daddy and what does he do?
yeah. This guy knows the score.
Let's see. Let's give a shout out to our sponsor. Go to zbiotics.com/alfalfa. Check out the pre-alcohol drink. We take it every time we drink. You're supposed to drink it maybe about a few hours before you have your first beverage. And it's a genetically engineered probiotic that takes care of that nasty toxin. Eric,
Acetaldehyde.
Sorry. Thank you. Wow, you're slipping. I thought we had a good thing going.
Sorry,
It's a great
I was
thing.
going to like the video, which people should also do.
Yeah, I was about to point to you, but I
Sorry.
was like, oh, he's got it now. I don't need to point at him.
Sorry.
Anyway, acetaldehyde, that's that toxin that makes you feel like crap in the morning. It's not the dehydration. Could be the lack of sleep if you're out all night. But otherwise, pre-alcohol drink takes care of that for you. And I'd say I feel 80 to 90% as good as I would normally do when I take a pre-alcohol beforehand. So yeah, go check it out. Try it. They have a money-back guarantee. So if it doesn't work for you, you don't feel the effects for whatever reason, you can send it back. They'll give you your money back, no questions asked. And I don't know if you guys have any big trips planning, but usually get them for trips, and they're also good gifts too. So anyway, check it out, zbiotics.com/alfalfa. Make sure to use the code alfalfa for 15% off. Thanks, guys, for sponsoring the pod.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, to your point, can we get some little like, comment, subscribe action?
Yeah,
On the
like,
fam
comment,
out
subscribe.
there,
I was in the
you know?
process of liking, and I forgot my duties.
Yeah, I think it's time. Like, comment, subscribe. Send the episode to a friend. It's been a minute since we requested that, but I think the best way this pod grows is send a favorite recent episode to a friend. Let them know what Alfalfa's about. Even if it's just a moment in one of our episodes, a little clip action from the YouTube. Make your
Yeah,
own.
we'll be forever
timestamp.
grateful.
And
I think a little more needs to be said about ETH Denver. We just got some comments about ETH Denver.
Oh,
yeah.
Somebody said, Ali said, have you guys given up on ETH? Matt Metzler said, is there still going to be a meetup? I think these are important questions.
Do you have the answers, or?
Well, I'm turning it to you.
I don't have the answers.
Well, we're not going to be in ETH Denver. We can't make it.
Are you sure Steven's not going? I think he's still going.
so you and I are trying to deliver children.
Yeah, we're on baby countdown duty.
Okay.
I
We have very good excuses.
yeah, I think that we're kind of off the hook.
I haven't heard Nick's. Is it good?
I've had health sickness
Staying
excuses.
put.
yeah.
And Steven, we'll let him. I don't know.
We'll let him defend himself.
Yeah.
Steven.
Over to you.
So no, unfortunately, no. Well, I don't know if there is one.
Well, one of
with
us
the
needs to be there to
hosts.
put the credit card down.
Yeah, there is no credit card.
Well, it's
To
like,
put down,
you
but
can
there is a
still
meetup.
do a meetup at Bierstadt Lagerhaus.
Yes,
Tomorrow.
absolutely.
Can we send a virtual card?
Good.
We probably could.
Like, and then,
Yeah,
don't know.
We probably could.
yeah.
Yeah,
All right, we'll figure that out.
yeah. So no, Alfalfa people, of course, you should meet up. You will meet up. Unfortunately, the hosts will not be there, and I think it's the first time since this whole thing started that we're not there. So it's a little sad.
Yeah, and it's like I think it kind of like aligns with a little sort of muted enthusiasm for ETH,
So we've given up on ETH.
but that's not what it is for me. Like I love ETH
no.
Denver. That was our first
Yeah.
in-person event, first conference. We met so many cool people. I would love to go back. It's just like this year is not working out timing wise.
Steven said, looks like I'm not going to make it to ETH Denver today. As in,
Today,
he might be going tomorrow.
be going tomorrow.
Anyway, let's see. Oh, I was going to ask you. I mean, the reason you guys aren't going is because you're both on baby watch. You're both your wives are about to give birth. So I wanted to know,
It's a we.
okay,
We're giving birth.
sure.
I'm so deep in the like parenting. My wife sends me like parenting TikTok style like reels from Instagram, and they're so funny. Like, are you exposed to this yet?
No, I honestly wish I could
It's
do more.
Really good.
Like Mina is huge and she's like miserable and uncomfortable. There's no position in which she finds comfort. and there's nothing I can do. Like all I can be like,
very little.
you want something to eat? Like, that's all I got. And no, she never wants anything to eat because it just like stays right here because there's like a massive baby that like prevents any organ from like existing in her body. So she's miserable, and I like part of me wishes like I wish I could do more.
Do you have your go bag ready?
Nope.
Well, can you educate this man? You're the one who said a guy needs a go bag as well.
Yeah, I don't have one ready either.
You
so.
don't? You're even closer. You're like within days.
Well, hold on. You've
Yeah.
done this before. So here's part of my thing. Part of my thing is that like I'm a procrastinator, and I always make things less than what they probably like what other people make them out to be. So like Mina's always like she's on me for every single thing. We just put the car seat in the car because she was up my ass about it.
That's good.
And I'm like, well, we might have to like take people in the car at some point. And she's like, no, we just got to. She's like full nesting energy.
Yeah, they go into a whole different mode.
Yeah, so like we've got the nursery. My office has been converted to a nursery, and we got everything dialed in. So like this one thing of mine, I just want to be like putting it off and just allowing that to be. But like our house is like 5 minutes from UCSD hospital.
wow.
So like I feel like if
but it's going to take longer to pack the PS5. In that moment of urgency, you're going to be like, you're going to miss a cord, and
That'd be so sick if you were in the room and you're like, you guys have an HDMI cable?
Mina, can you keep it down? It's a tie game. Please.
That's great. No, I mean, there were a few things I wish I'd had. I mean, the situation is it's uncomfortable. Like in general in the hospital.
Because like in the room that you're in, there's like a little
blankets.
There's like a little side couch.
Yeah,
that's like
side
kind of a little
couch.
shitty side couch.
Do you have an 8 sleep for that size or?
It's a pretty rough couple nights at irregular temperatures that my body is not adapted to. But yeah, I mean, it's like I'm gonna bring my Kindle. I'm probably gonna go for a sleeping bag this time, or just like a good blanket. Sleeping bag might be easier to just pack and go.
That's a good idea.
And a pillow I think was the thing I missed the most because the hospital pillows are so shitty.
What about snacks?
Yeah, you're gonna be so hungry, but you may not even have appetite because it's just like you're on the edge of your seat the whole time. You're there for like 48 hours, sometimes more, and you're just totally on the edge of your seat the whole time. At least I was the first time. I'm way more relaxed this time.
You seem
I was like
so relaxed.
nightly praying, just like very anxious, just and that was good. I felt good about that. Like I was putting good energy into the world, like just praying for a healthy baby, but also like anxious.
Yeah,
I'd never been through this before. It was overwhelming.
So if that was like a level 8 out of 10 at that time, what are you now?
Probably. This is a good question. Probably like a 4. Probably
You seem like a
3.
1.5.
Probably a 3. I just don't have the time to worry. I don't have the bandwidth to really worry. And I think the only concern always is just like a healthy baby, healthy mom, healthy wife. That's it.
Yeah, it's like more than you can ask for.
Yeah. It's just like, that's it. So, everything else is, you kind of are in the moment and you will adapt. I've talked about this before on the pod. I am someone who like educates myself a lot about things in general. And like when I step into like a new thing, I'm like, oh, I want to learn a new skill set.
Curious cat.
I'm a curious cat, and I'll go really deep on it, deep research mode, right? But with parenting, I've never done that. Like I've never read the books. I've never, consulted people. I trusted myself, and I trust myself. And I think it actually worked out tremendously well. Like I think I'm a good dad, and I trust my instincts about it. I try to personalize to the experience of my child, because like they're all so different. Their needs are different. And the moment Rumi was born, I felt a real connection with her. Like even though she was just literally a day-year-old baby, like I could feel what she wanted or what she needed if you slowed. Because I think what happens is, my real thought here about this is, when you overly consume too much information, have too many frameworks for things, those frameworks take precedence over your own personal intuition. And so it actually removes your ability to connect to the moment and connect to the other individual and feel what they need and what they're trying to tell you, because you think to yourself, I don't know what I'm doing, so I need a framework for this, of how to deal with this. There are people that study the sounds that babies make to try to determine like what the baby's trying to say. Oh, that kind of a cry means diaper. This kind of a cry means hunger. But if you actually like get present and adapt to the moment, you can figure these things out pretty quickly, in my opinion, in my experience. And maybe I'm more intuitive than some people, but like that's worked really well for me.
No, I think that's really good, Alpha. And I think just to like edify what you're saying, like I've been doing a little bit of research on how incredible the human body is, and like the adaptations that like Mina's body's making for this baby. And when the baby comes out, like what's transpiring even after the birth, like there's some communication happening between the baby's hormones and Mina's breast milk. Like the body just like gives the baby what it needs. And it's like, it's all fascinating stuff.
Yeah.
That is like happening beyond like book knowledge.
Well, where I did spend time accumulating book knowledge was not on like parenting, but on the science of birth and like health related aspects. So like I am a little bit overbearing probably in a doctor or hospital setting because I don't trust. And I know that I'm just a number to them and that they're doing this all day long. And the decisions that they're making are the result of most patients' ignorance and their ability to make a best decision for you. Mm-hmm. So it could be something as simple as like, we're going to do a membrane sweep. I mean, hold on, membrane sweep. Trade-offs are this, and this, if I recall correctly. Like, let's talk about this. And they actually respect you for that, in my opinion. People in a medical setting really do like when a person takes charge of their own health, or they have somebody that is attempting to take charge. And I've been asked multiple times, is like, why are you so, how did you become so interested in this stuff? Or do you have a background in this stuff? Like, have you studied medicine? No, I don't know jack shit. I just got very focused on those things because I knew those decisions can be critical.
You have to
the health
advocate
of the
for
mom,
yourself.
the health of the baby. You have to be the CEO of your own body.
Yeah.
And so that's the area that I got most like intensely involved in.
That's cool, man.
I do advise that.
Yeah.
Because honestly, like just delegating to the staff, they have such good intentions, but
yeah, all good people.
The person that expresses the most need and has the best questions and offers the most, sort of like that utilizes the doctor as a sort of resource rather than as a source of truth gets the best outcomes almost always,
That's good, man.
Yeah.
I agree.
What are the alfalfa we got? Armand, did you have a post-exit business idea you want to talk to?
God.
We got like 9 other topics to go through.
So funny,
so
'cause
much this week.
The shift in spectrum from the way I was just talking to this is just like so 180. Okay. So Erica watches like reality TV. And every
Shocking.
once in a while I'll walk into the room and I it's like for 3 minutes, I just kind of like, I'm standing in the kitchen, I'm like grabbing a bite or something, and she's watching, like this week she was watching Love is Blind.
Good one.
And my God, man, like I can't help it. I immediately start like commentating and narrating. Like, in soccer, like the commentators in sports in general, like they're analyzing the plays.
So are you,
they're giving you background.
Well, are you a play-by-play guy or a color guy?
Am I a what guy?
I think there's like a play-by-play or there's the color.
The analyst.
The analyst or the color guy.
Kind of both.
Okay, yeah.
And so like I go into this crazy mode where I find the whole thing so ridiculous and so fake, but I also enjoy certain aspects of it in like this is absolute dog shit, but I start commenting. So like I just start dropping like, oh my God, okay, so like this guy was getting exposed for like following the girl in advance of Love is Blind on Instagram. Like he had been stalking.
How dare
he was doing his research. Like, I'm going to marry a girl. I'm going to see who the contestants are and like, check them out. And so, maybe allegedly, right? And so she was freaking out after they had met and been like, I remember you. Like you followed me and I remember your profile picture, all this kind of stuff. So I'm sitting there just like chirping and chirping and chirping. And I think there's this like, I was just like imagining myself as like a live streamer where I just like pull up random reality shows and I'm like drinking my old fashioned, and you get to tune in and watch like reality shows with me, but it's just me basically hating on them, but like commenting on like, it's like pulling all the bullshit off the surface and like just making little jabs about
Okay.
little things. It's hilarious.
So is this your idea?
It's really fun.
Because I actually like this idea a lot. Your idea is watch-alongs, right?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm totally on board with
With
this.
a guy who's like, you know, like based reality TV watching.
Yeah. So like, let me like, Nick knows this. You know this. Like, I do watch along. I'm like a fan of watch alongs. I watch a guy watch Manchester United games, and this guy's fucking hilarious. Like I mute my TV and I turn up his play by play because he's fucking knowledgeable. A, he's actually pretty good. But B, he's just like hilarious, and he like just talks shit about like our team. I'm a Manchester United fan. He's like, and Casemiro's running like he's holding a shit. So you have
I
this
don't.
like,
Erica says I'm like she's like laughing constantly, and it's just because like it's like a truth bomb after truth bomb, and also like I'm cursing a lot for some reason when I
Yeah.
watch reality TV. I'm just like, that slutty little bitch. She's about to go down on him. You know, stuff like that. Like, oh, watch it go. You know, he's cheating on her. He's cheating on her. Can't you see? Can't you know? And I'm just like, you know,
Dude.
doing this whole thing. It's entertaining for me. I think it'd be entertaining for
totally-
millions of people.
I totally see this for
So
you.
I'm gonna stop doing tech one day. No, it's never gonna happen. But like, I start this watch along channel.
I like that
Grow
for
it,
you.
Maybe we
you
can
know,
all do
tens
it.
of millions of.
maybe we can
followers.
all do it. I don't want to encroach on your business, but maybe we can all do it. That'd be
I think
fun.
it'd be hilarious, dude.
You'd be great at it.
I think it'd be hilarious.
There's a huge market for it. People watch each other play video games. Like, reality TV's next.
I mean, is there someone out there doing this? Because
Yeah, but it's a copyright infringement if you replay the.
yeah.
They'd have to
Oh,
like
yeah.
How
tune
do you
in.
get away with that?
They'd have to like turn you on while they're
You
watching
have,
the show.
Okay, this is how I do Manchester United. I sync up the.
You have to sync them up.
I sync them up.
Okay.
But
So-
you could just be like watch along with like
Yeah,
The
hit
Bachelor
play,
or whatever.
guys.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's amazing.
All right, can you pull up a new slavery tech just dropped? And let's see if this works. So make this video bigger. We'll go to camera 3. So a YC company developed a.
Here, we should look at the post first.
Okay. You want to watch it first?
No, I want to just like, okay, here's the Y Combinator post.
Okay, so this company is building AI performance monitoring for factory workers, boosting line efficiency for manufacturing companies. Congrats on the launch, says Y Combinator. And you want to play the video?
Yeah.
I don't know if the audio will play, but let's see.
Should, right? Yeah, let us know in the chat if you hear the audio.
Whoops.
No, I don't think
Hey,
it's
number
playing.
17.
God damn it.
What's going on, man? You're in
Okay.
red.
So what's
Oh, now it's playing.
Now it's playing.
Yeah, play it again.
You haven't hit your hourly
play it
output.
again?
37% line efficiency? That's bad. Let me call my supervisor. Vivan, have you been taking a look at line 6? It's not doing well at all. On it, sir. Alright, let's see the Optify dashboard and see what's the issue with line 6. Oh, it's
No, I don't
Workspace
hear
17.
it. It's not playing.
Workspace 17 is the
This is amateur
bottleneck.
hour.
The worst performing workspace.
Techno Kings?
Hey, number 17. What's going on, man? You're in red. I've been working all day. Been working all day? You haven't hit your hourly output even once today. And you're at 11.4% efficiency. This is really bad. It's just been a rough day. Rough day? More like a rough
No,
month.
I'm listening on the YouTube. It's not playing.
37
Maybe not. Okay.
Yeah, it's just delayed.
Oh, sorry.
Anyway, so we just played it, but anyway, yeah, this is a YC company that showed it, and then what happened? They took it down
Yeah, they took it down.
because people saw it as like a
Well, it just got
slavery technology?
ripped apart. I mean, it's literally these guys like with manufacturing backgrounds, like their parents run a manufacturing plant, and actually the software is really interesting. The software itself is like, oh my god, I can see so many use cases for this, but obviously this is like slavery optimization, and people freaked out and are like, how could you fund this? And
Well, hold on. So did they end up taking it down?
It
Like
appears so.
Y
Yeah.
Combinator took it down. So I guess like my question is, like maximizing productivity and like monitoring employee performance is normal. The only thing that's at
It's
odds
happening
here,
in sweatshops in China.
it's like they're not getting paid enough.
Probably.
So they should just get paid more, regardless of this optimizing technology or not. They should be getting paid more. Probably, it's still a sweatshop. Like the performance management of a sweatshop is not the issue.
they
It's
try
the
to make
sweatshop.
they try to make fun of it, and he goes, "What's wrong with you? Your efficiency's down." He's like, "I've been working all day," in the background, and they're like, "No, you haven't."
What do you're more involved in this world? What do you think of this?
I mean, they work 16-hour. Like they take long days, and they work six days a week. I think
16 hours
sometimes, yeah.
in a day.
And it's like
days a
hands-on.
week.
Depends what it is. I mean, factories are different. Like some factories are like by the book. They get a break at this time, all this, and then you go in some factories and they're like, I'm like, hey, why don't they have backs on their chairs? He's like, productivity goes down, and I'm like, oh, okay.
I
I'm like, can we get them backs for the chairs, or like just for our stuff?
So it sounds like Nick acquired the company. That's why Y Combinator took it down.
Yeah.
oh my
Maybe
God.
one day I'll post. I'm going to China in April, so maybe I'll bring some videos back to show so people can see what the differences in factories, because they're very.
I mean, the
variance
factories,
is wide.
It varies widely. The factories I went to were really nice, actually. But maybe I didn't see some of these more hardcore ones.
Yeah, there's some hardcore ones for sure.
Yeah.
All right, let's do it's safer than ever to fly. So I wanted to pull this up because the NTSB has a dashboard. And so go ahead and click on that white button at the top. And what they show is the number of incidents, of aviation incidents by month and by year. And so, Armand, can you click on that fatal filter? And see if you can zoom in a little bit for everyone. But basically what we're showing here is that in January, we've had the least amount of fatal incidents since they started recording this data. So there were 10 fatal incidents, and it looks like the average is like, I don't know, just eyeballing it, like 20. And in February so far, we've had 5, which would be like an all-time new record.
Low. Yeah.
Yeah. So, I don't know. I just thought it was important to bring up because, like, I don't know about your guys' feeds, but all I see are, like, airplane accidents. But when you look at the data, it's actually some of the safest months we've ever experienced.
So the algo is pulling on the data, but
Yeah,
like on
surprise.
our sort of like, it's not lived experience. It's like observed experience. Based on my observed experience through like social media, it seems like this is not the case.
Seems like it's happening every day and everyone's dying, and that, flying on a plane is not safer than crossing the
But
street
hold on,
or
like,
driving in a car.
So what do you attribute that to? Because like social media has been around for a lot longer than just like the last year or so.
Echo chamber, right? Like it's just sometimes social media makes everything feel like a monolith. Like this is obviously everyone's experience, and it's terrible.
I mean,
It's
these
interesting.
these
It's
numbers
really
are
interesting.
shockingly high, by the way. Like 63 fatal airplane crashes in January.
I selected.
No, that's all.
It's
That's
all
including non-fatal.
injuries. That's all individual people injuries.
And if you look at non-fatal injuries, it's still one of the lowest ever, if not the lowest.
So does this? I mean, I'm going to ask the algo like, some questions that you might not know. But like, is this like private planes, small planes?
It's all domestic flights.
So this is U.S. based.
Yeah, because there's a region filter, and it only lets you select by state.
Dude, this is insane. By the way, if like a normal January has like 65 crashes,
So you could argue in one
a
time
normal January has 65 plane crashes
incidents
just in the U.S.
Incidents. It could be like a
No. Oh, it is incidents. Sorry.
it could be like a near
is
miss
not-
on a runway, like the most recent one, the Southwest one, where he like does a touch and go and avoids the crash.
Yeah.
That's probably
Oh,
an
I
incident.
took this as people. This is okay. This is accidents.
Yeah, or incidents,
So-
not necessarily like a crash.
Yeah, but it says like so.
Oh,
there
no,
were.
NTSB would be like an actual physical.
I mean, here it says accidents by calendar year and
okay,
month.
and then you're
so
right.
Like
It is accidents.
that is a.
That's just a high number, is what I'm saying. Like
Mm-hmm.
to have 25 in the U.S.
So you could actually take the opposite of the argument I made, which is not only is it not an echo chamber, but you're not even seeing all of them that are happening.
Right.
Like you're seeing like a fraction.
Yeah. There's been 63 accidents
In January.
in January.
And 50 so far in February.
I'm also noticing some seasonality. The summer months have higher, and that's probably because more
basically
people are flying.
hundreds, 100 to 200 on average. Looks like the average in this whole chart is about 150 per month.
Yeah.
150 accidents per month.
So you're not seeing all the accidents, and it's still safe. It's safer than it's ever been in your life. You know, and like the news gets on like a theme, and
Well, I think what it really comes down to is that it's a narrative takes hold, and in social media, once that narrative takes hold, all that content begins to get highlighted and surfaced
Right.
very quickly.
That's like the feed algorithm at play.
Yeah, it like literally will just start launching those videos. Like the Delta one that happened with Smoke the other day is like another one that just like,
yeah.
Plane landed upside down.
yeah, crazy.
Well, they landed. The pilot landed the plane incredibly hard. Like it just blew the landing gear off, and
then it turned
over. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
But what's another thing is like most of these accidents are probably private jets, and we have friends who take private jets, and I'm like
I'm
anti.
gonna need another old fashioned. Sorry.
Make one up.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I'm kind of anti. Those are the planes that'll get you effed up.
I'm off helicopters for good.
Yeah, fuck those.
And
Oh yeah, maybe that's probably a good amount of them.
yeah, private jets. I've actually never taken a private jet, and I'm okay having just never had that on my resume.
Agreed. All right. Let's see. Well, Armand's not controlling the computer anymore, so
Oh
should I just?
well, I'm on camera one.
Well, I need to control the computer over here.
Oh,
Okay. So I want to talk about potentially the easiest 2x opportunity I've seen.
the easiest double up of all time.
Maybe the easiest double up.
Okay.
Okay. So you want to describe what we're looking at here, and then I'll. Hop
Okay. What Nick is describing is the easiest double your money opportunity of all time. And it says, who will be named in the Epstein files by June 30th?
Okay. So Bill Gates is at 53%. Isn't it confirmed?
Hold on.
It's been confirmed. He's on the flight manifest. And who else? Prince Andrew. They did a whole documentary about him specifically. So
Who's Prince Andrew? Is this a British guy or
he's royalty.
British?
Yes.
I thought there was like Meghan Markle's married to one. And
Correct. It's in that family tree.
okay.
Yeah. He's an older gentleman. He likes the A minors. And anyway, in any case, this has already been proven that they're on there. Why aren't these higher? And maybe it's the
So-
deadline.
Are you going max? Are you going max?
I don't know. I wanted to talk to you guys about it. Like, am I staring at like an easy opportunity, or is this deadline too much of a big deal? Because
Well,
the attorney general said the list is on my desk, and we are going to release it. The only thing that I think could be holding this up is that there's a high likelihood that Donald Trump himself is on this list because there's pictures with him.
So who's like, okay, so keep me posted here because I don't follow this shit. Marty is going to fucking hate me for this, but I don't even care. But like, tell me what's going on. So they're going to release the documents.
I guess there was like files that were
Like
unsealed. That
flight manifests?
Yeah, no, they showed those in January, but they didn't show the people who were on this flight
passengers.
to the island.
Does every flight need to have like a passenger
Yeah,
list?
even the private
Okay.
planes. Yeah, and I guess they're intending to expose everyone on those flight manifests essentially, which would be assumed his client list.
Good.
Okay. And I guess I get what you're saying now. So like maybe they release those files on June or
I can't wait for people
July
to be like,
1st or something.
They're gonna
I went to the island, but I mean, I was in the living room.
Well, hold on. Like I can actually totally see this like being a what I would be doing. I just like to party. And like I like going places and if people say you want to come to an island, I'd be like, yeah, fuck yeah.
okay,
And then you
let's
get there.
let's just say that happened.
Sure.
And then you knew there was some disgusting level of stuff happening.
Yeah.
Would you go back?
Well, no, but I
So anyone who goes back is 100% guilty, right?
yeah, if you go twice,
You go twice.
Oh yeah. If you're on there twice, so
If you went once and you're like, whoa, wrong party for me. and
Yeah.
never went back
And
and
I'll be
deleted him out of your life.
I'll be honest, I'm not the type to like snitch on everybody. So if I did go there once, first of all, I've never been there. But like if I had gone
You said it was a
there,
great time.
the type of guy I am, I would have gone there. I would have like walked into that party. I would have like Abe Simpsoned out of it, and I would have been like, "Whoa, that was not for me." And then I just would have like carried on my life without like whistleblowing anybody. That's just not my style. So I think I allow that plausible deniability for folks.
I know nothing about this topic. Like genuinely, like the average person knows way
I don't
more
know
than I
any
do
much
about
either.
Epstein.
But I like this bet.
Yeah, but my thing is like, isn't there some lead qualification happening? Like they're not inviting people who don't want to partake in this.
Well, that's
right?
why I'd be likely to be invited because I'm not going to be telling on people.
No, he's a Mossad agent. So like he just wants anyone rich and powerful and get the compromat on them so that they can be controlled.
And sometimes people drag celebrities for like taking a photo with somebody, and I'm like, fuck, dude, people take photos all the time. This is not really a thing. But like, I'd probably have a fucking photo with Epstein.
Anyway, False says they're either not going to release the list or redact all the names of powerful people on the list. Trump is definitely on the list.
Trump's for sure on the list.
Yeah.
So you think Bill Gates and Prince Andrew are like locks because you've like seen documentaries where they're like.
I mean, Bill Gates even admitted that his friendship with him was a mistake
oh, so
and a lapse of judgment.
so he's definitely been.
He's definitely on the list. I mean, his wife divorced him because of it. So,
Oh wow.
I didn't know that was the cause.
I mean, you just
Oh,
see that these two things happened at the same time,
Kevin
and you're.
Spacey, huh?
well, Spacey's.
I don't think they were hawking boys on
What
that
is
one.
Stephen Hawking doing on the list?
That's a gnarly name on there. Spacey's a confirmed diddler. I thought.
Yeah, but I think he likes the boys.
Well, I thought that whole thing I may have misunderstood because again I don't go into these things, but I thought he was vindicated, is what I heard or read.
Who the fuck knows anymore? You know, like what
Yeah.
are we even talking
But
about?
wasn't he vindicated? Like,
Not in my mind because I don't keep up with news.
all
All right, yeah, I think we're all
Way
to the
over
point
our
where we
heads.
don't care about this anymore. But it's an interesting bet. I might play along.
I've never made a polymarket bet.
I made one and won it.
It's not easy.
It's crypto, right? Like it's just
It's
like
easy when you win.
this is crypto. I don't crypto anymore. I'm over this
No,
shit.
it's not crypto.
Okay.
It's on Polygon
It's
because it's called
it's
called
crypto
Polymarket.
rails with a real functionality.
Yeah,
I mean, Vitalik isn't pleased by this.
but I got a fucking bridge
like-
to Polygon, and I got to do a bunch of shit.
The
they
time
make
I was
they make it semi easy.
I stopped working on it because the time I tried to do it, it wasn't working. I was like, this is so dumb.
Do you need, like-
we both tried.
Do you need like a
one day.
specific like version of stablecoin to use like
Yes.
USD dot Polygon
Dot
or
E?
some
Yes.
shit?
But
Dude,
you-
I
yeah.
fucking hate crypto.
Yeah, I know it was so hard to bet, but once you get in and you deposit your funds to your, Polymarket fund, it's fine.
All right, let's switch to the gold card.
You know which one I won, by the way? Trump wins all swing states. Huge
That
winning.
paid out huge.
Huge.
That was a big win.
Yeah,
That was like 10-1.
Great call.
8 or 9, 9
Nice.
to 1.
Fuck yeah.
Yeah.
Let's switch to government selling the gold card. So
Dude, this is crazy.
I think the video is too long to play. It's like 4 or 5 minutes. But essentially, Trump was in an interview and he said, we're going to release a gold card in a few weeks. And essentially is a green card for immigration that will cost $5 million. And so someone can pay the government, like a direct transaction to the Treasury, $5 million, get a green card, come to the United States, and they vet you. I'm sure there's a normal vetting process, but then you fast track to being able to work in the United States and a path to citizenship.
So what's the, I have some stupid questions. Simple questions like how hard is the process to get a green card normally?
I think it's quite a long process. It's not easy.
So for the people with the means,
Well, it's a lottery.
so you enter
It's
a
not like
lottery?
it's not like I want to become a resident and then you just do it.
Mm-hmm.
It's just it's a lottery, and I think it's country dependent. So like we have a quota system of like who will allow from what countries.
Okay.
There's just no path for a lot of people
So people with the means, this is gonna like
with huge means.
just gonna like.
I
put 'em
mean,
straight
if
to
you
the
have
front of the
5
line.
million liquid dollars, you are.
Well, you gotta have way more than that because you're spending.
That's
You're
what
not
I'm
gonna
s-
spend
that's
all
what
your
I'm
money.
saying.
Yeah.
Yeah, he also mentioned like if we sell 1 million of these things, that's $5 trillion. And if we sell 10 million, that's 50 trillion. Our debt's 35. We'll have 15 billion or 15 trillion left over.
I mean,
but like, I don't know if there's actually the number of ultra high net worth. Because let's say you have to be worth 50.
I'd be very surprised if we sold 1 million of these.
Well, the other thing is that a company can sponsor someone. So if a company believes you're worth $5 million, like it's kind of like a different version of the H-1B visa. It's like, which could be argued as like a way to not pay American workers and basically like hold these immigrant workers in skilled positions under slave labor because they have to continue to work at that company in order to stay in the United States.
So this would be like a building on top of the H-1B.
It'd be totally separate, but they could be like, hey, it's kind of financial proof that this person is actually worth, and I cannot find someone in the U.S. to replace them, or else I wouldn't pay the $5 million.
Right.
So companies can do it on their behalf. So, but if you're just going after ultra high net worth individuals, like I think even in China, you're talking. I think I saw Andy Constant post something on Wikipedia of the numbers, and it's like in the hundreds of thousands of people. Let's call it 50 million and up net worth. That sounds.
Yeah, not that many people.
About right.
Yeah, there's not going to be that many people who can afford it.
But maybe companies would.
But let's talk about the existing program, that H-1B. What can people do now to kind of like buy their way in? Because like
there's the
EB-5.
EB-5. I think it's like, I forget the number, maybe like 30 or 50,000. You can, if you say, hey, I'm going to invest in a business, or I'm investing this in a company I want to start, then you can get a visa through that program because you're like bringing means to start or invest in a business.
Right. You're like,
here's the EB-5.
Okay. What does it say?
They have to make the necessary investment in an enterprise. They have to plan to create or preserve 10 full-time jobs. And this program replaces that program.
Wow.
So the EB-5 was intended to be like a job creation act. And then this one is just like, just give us the fucking money, man.
Yeah, just pay us the money. We'll send you a link. Swipe your credit card.
Yeah, and you mentioned that you're sure that there's some vetting going on. I think that's probably a pretty big gray area.
I don't know how much vetting.
That's something that I would be concerned with as like a guy who's just looking at this for the first time. I'd be like, well, you're probably going to attract a lot of like cartel types or whomever that have a lot of fucking cash and means, but are, a little
kind of
scrupulous.
Undermines the concept of like merit-based immigration, which I think he was kind of somewhat going for. Like if you get a degree in the United States, you should be able to stay. If you are skilled enough, it's not really merit-based anymore. It become pay-to-play, but you would certainly attract high net worth individuals who would spend money, invest. You kind of cut the red tape of the EB-5. I mean, it's just simple transaction. And obviously could bring in a lot of revenue if he could get it up to 1 million. But 1 million people that's a lot of people to bring in a 3-year time span. Yeah, I mean, you could it could definitely be a loophole, like you're saying, like adversaries using it as a loophole to get in, find someone with a clean slate. Mm-hmm.
Like imagine we had adversaries in some type of war environment. They'd be like, yeah, we'll just fucking dump money into this and send our people.
Or like, let's say that
agents.
A foreign intelligence service gets leverage over an actual real businessman worth a lot of money who can show that they have $5 million cash. And they're like, no, now you're going to go here or we're going to kill your family and you're going to do what we say over there.
It's funny. Carby just said Russian oligarchs. That's what I was going to bring up too. There'll be a lot of that.
Yeah. There was an enterprising young woman on Twitter. She had a funny post. She says, so Trump said you have to pay $5 million for your gold card if you want to come to America. I am offering a $1 million discount if you want to get married.
Oh my God. Become an American citizen straight away.
Yeah.
Not like skip the green card.
For the low price of $4 million.
$4 million. That's a very compelling offer on a relative basis. How did she look?
I didn't look. I'm a married man.
Bravo. Right answer. Pass the test.
All right, guys, let's get into are we still in a bull market? And I kind of want to go through some tweets here. I didn't check the NVIDIA earnings, but they looked like kind of like a non-event.
Guys, what is happening?
Well, I did check NVIDIA earnings.
How do they look?
Fucking fantastic.
But did the stock move in after hours? Let's see.
Stock did not move, but I don't care about that.
You're still on it. Let's see. It's down 1.5%.
I know you don't care about crypto, but what happened to crypto?
Okay, so we can talk about what happened in the market. Massive drawdown in high risk assets, but offset that with what's also actually happening. I think this is like a little bit of like Nick Algo kind of thing, is like what you're seeing in crypto is not necessarily like indicative of what's happening in the broad market, because the S&P 500 is down 3%.
Exactly. I'm like, who?
3%.
Like, these are the normal volatility, like liquidity growth scare, and
people think it's like the sky's falling, it's over, oh my god.
It's like 3.5%, I think, is the current like number. Or actually the market might have been up today. So yeah, you're right. 3-ish% off the highs. That's nothing.
3% down from all-time highs. So I think one way I'm looking at it is like through that lens, that like wider perspective. Another lens that I'm looking through is like my business partner Dave and we actually started recording TradFi specific videos, and he brought up this chart that said the VIX, the volatility index, spikes seasonally in this time, February and March.
Yeah.
So over the last 20 years, this exact moment is when you get volatility like we're seeing now.
Yeah, and I've seen other seasonality charts that show the last half of February into March OPEX are some of the worst days in the market. Just if you go back, like, I don't know how many years this guy went back, but and we even been talking about it like off the pod, like could there be a growth scare, seasonality, and then you also had a really good 2024. The market was up, and people are going to owe taxes in 50 days. And so generally you typically see people start selling stuff in their Schwab account because they need to pay for taxes. So I'm just like kind of trying to take the next 2 months off-ish, or just ride them out. Because like if you're not levered, then who cares? You just let it go. But a lot of us sold.
I would never lever.
We sold a lot of our options plays. I know you sold all of them.
Yeah.
You did a pretty nice top tick there, by the way.
Yeah, I feel very fortunate. I feel very fortunate for the way it's sort of played out. I still hold a lot of things that I like. So like I kind of like said I sold everything. I like trimmed everything. I didn't like completely just go cash in portfolios, but the stuff that I still hold is down bigly because I still hold things like Robinhood and Coinbase and things that we've talked about, and I see what's happening there. It's fucking brutal.
Bloody.
Well, can we pull up this Warren Pies chart?
Yeah.
Yeah. So let's zoom in on this guy a little bit. So he posted some good research that I like, and I'll kind of read it out. He says, S&P 500 correction. The most bullish aspect of the recent pullback, which is only 3.1%, is the drop in yields. The 10-year has gone down about 0.25%. Historically, 2009 to 2021 was the golden era of dip buying. In those years, 5% dips recovered highs within 3 months on average and became corrections only 35% of the time. And a correction is defined as going down by 10% or more. And then he continues in the next tweet saying, from 2009 to 2021, stocks and bonds enjoyed negative correlation. Once stocks began selling off, bonds rose. Since then, though, bonds have been more the source of pain. Historically, and then I think this is his point, pullbacks that occur alongside rising yields are more likely to become corrections, which is not what we're seeing here. We're seeing stocks go down and bond values go up. So he thinks it's a more bullish look and more of a pullback than a correction. So I thought that was an interesting data point that I wanted to share with everyone. And then let's go to this CZ tweet because this answers some crypto fears. So CZ retweeted something he posted in December of 2020. Waiting for the new headline. Bitcoin crashes from 101,000 to 85,000, which is exactly what just happened a mere 4.5 years later. And he says, save the tweet. And then he kind of renews his prediction. Waiting for the new headline. Bitcoin crashes from $1 million to $985,000. Save the tweet.
I like how he adjusted the drawdown.
He only made it $15,000 though.
I know.
Yeah, I think you know.
That feels, right-ish. Like it'll be less volatile at that time for sure.
And obviously his message is, just wait it out. Nothing to see here.
Particularly with Bitcoin. I mean, that one's so obvious. Like, I think Bitcoiners, like real Bitcoiners, have even learned to not even worry about volatility.
Yeah.
I think it's just like for the most like recent Bitcoiner like adopters.
Yeah.
But I see this in TradFi, for instance. Like Berkshire Hathaway recently came out with their like annual letter and their report, and they just fucking print cash. This is like right up the Knickerbonny playbook. They have passive income coming to them as like an investor.
Right.
They invest in businesses that spit off cash to the parent company, and the parent company just like bathes in cash. And if you look at the stock of Berkshire,
I was going to say that's a best example.
it's you can just ride it. That's
He's getting
fine.
all those insurance premium checks every month.
Yeah. And, yeah, I mean, they own a lot of businesses, like insurance, but also many others. But yeah, like I saw a stat that Berkshire Hathaway paid 20%?
5%.
5% of all corporate taxes, in
That's
the United
wild.
States.
One business.
Because they just fucking print cash.
Wow.
I saw a video by Cem Carson. He was saying that like people are worried about the economy, and then the markets kind of predict the economy. They kind of foresee 6 months out, And he was like, no, I think the markets, change the economy. So if the stock market goes down enough, liquidity dries up. When liquidity dries up, like people start, holding back. So it's not to say this couldn't turn into correction. People could certainly be cutting back because they have AI fears or Trump fears. Saw a good stat also by Warren Pai saying something. I think it was about inflation forecasts. They survey consumers, and if you're a Democrat, you think inflation is going to like go up by like 4.5%, and if you're a Republican, you think it's going to go up by like 1%. So there's obviously political fears, and I think there's also a truth to the wealth effect. Like when you see your 401k balance or your Schwab account or your crypto balance, like you may not just go on that extra vacation, or you might buy something cheaper than you normally would.
Definitely.
Cut back on the DoorDash. I don't know. I think that's real. The wealth effect. So I guess it could spiral out of control.
The wealth effect, this like idea of reflexivity, I agree, is for sure a thing. I think for me, all these like possible paths are plausible. Like, do we go to a recession? Maybe. Let's just wait until this like end of like really high volatility period, which would probably be like March 21st OPEX.
Yeah.
Let's just wait until then and let's like reassess.
Or maybe even after tax time. Like
I will be so depressed if it's over. So depressed.
Oh yeah, you were texting back. You're like, guys, what the fuck?
It might be over.
What do we post? Oh, it was the Benjamin Cohen tweet from like 5 years ago, and he like predicted Bitcoin out for the next like 20 years, and it was like 2024, 2025, or 2025, 2026 down
2024 100K.
Yeah.
Dude.
Which he nailed.
Yeah, and then he said the next bull market was in 2032.
Dude, no, you can't even call this a bull market if it ends. You truly can't.
I don't know. The stock market is up massively.
I know, but crypto.
Bitcoin's at 100K.
It's the only one that beat all-time highs.
I don't know. It's up like 8x.
It's the only one that beat all-time highs. Even Solana didn't.
No,
Solana
it did because they just
No, it
spit.
didn't.
By
Yeah, on a
market
market cap basis, it did because like
Okay.
they just spit out so many new coins every day.
Yeah, Solana for sure did.
Well,
Ethereum just sucks.
but everything else, like, there was no run back of like,
What do you mean? There was meme coins that were trading at fucking
No.
astronomical everything.
no, I expect like a slightly less hectic, sort of like bull market with each, subsequent one. But this didn't even come close.
Well,
if it's over, again, if it's over.
You
it
might
didn't
get
even
what
come
you want.
Close.
Because Benjamin Cohen has been a broken record, but that record has been correct. And he's basically, on this point, he's been saying, you got to wait until quantitative easing, until Because like right now,
Yeah, so his point is that we might have just condensed the time that we go parabolic more and more. When quantitative easing eventually occurs, it'll just go parabolic, but for a very short period of time, correct?
I think that's what he's saying. But he's saying we haven't seen it yet. We're still tightening.
And so we won't see it until we see that. But he talked about a couple other levers as well that I don't recall.
Oh yeah,
but
you
that is
watched
the main
You watched
lever.
one of the most recent interviews he did.
Well, like global liquidity is going down. I mean, these are all
No,
just
I
like,
know.
functions of liquidity.
I'm just talking about, like, generally speaking, I think most people share the sentiment with me. It would suck.
Well, here's a good lever
it was
for
over.
anybody listening to fucking crypto. How about getting fucking use cases? How about getting demand? How about getting actual people on chain for reasons other than speculating on dog shit? How about that?
I think they want that. I think that everybody wants that. I just don't think it's come to fruition.
Exactly.
You could blame regulations. You could blame, but now we have this like very pro crypto regime, and that this is when that should start to become a reality. Like now. But
I don't know. It's only
maybe
been
there's
2
too much
months.
PTSD. Maybe
No,
there's I don't know.
It's actually only been like 35 days,
Yeah.
since he's been in office. So, I think we give that one a lot more patience, and that one may not show up until the next cycle, right? Because you're actually building real businesses and having to build product and hire employees and all that.
We're gonna get. I think we're gonna get the generational opportunity, in this regard. Like, ETH's gonna go home. Ben Cohen's gonna be fucking right again.
Yeah, but I'm not going to buy it when it goes home.
Okay, so it's gonna go home, and then in line with
Can't
that,
do it.
like within that time frame, like of ETH going home, it's also gonna line up that like regulation comes in a positive way, allowing people, builders, to like have clarity on what is allowable, and that is gonna allow like businesses to proliferate, and it's gonna allow crypto actually become a real thing. At the same time, like it's rare when you get like really cheap prices and really good opportunities on like good businesses, and this is going to be like one of those rare moments, I think.
I think you could have like a real growth scare where maybe unemployment starts to tick up. And right now people are forecasting the Fed to not really cut interest rates the rest of the year, but like you could see them very quickly get into action if something starts to look wobbly, because Powell wants a soft landing. Like he clearly doesn't want a recession on his legacy. So if he starts to sense anything weird, he's going to be, probably quick to press on the gas and help the economy out. The question is, will our own government, will there be fiscal stimulus, which is what we've been eating off of, what assets have been eating off of for the last like 3 years. And if they're cutting the deficit, that's the only part.
So let me ask you this about Donald Trump, for instance. Like, you guys follow him more than I do, Nick in particular, Steven as well. But my view of this man is that he is pretty narcissistic and like wants vanity metrics that he cares about to be supportive of his administration. Metrics like, what's the stock market doing? You've mentioned in the past.
I think
like,
he cares more about inflation right now than he does about.
Okay, so you mentioned in the past, I think accurately at the time, that he said something to the effect of like, as long as people feel better
Yeah,
economically, then everything's
you'll
better.
be popular.
you're gonna
Everyone
be
will
popular.
be happy. Yeah.
So my question is, has he changed, or is that still his view?
Possibly.
Because if it's still his view, then like he's obviously going to pump the markets. But if he's changed and his North Star is different, he like wants to fix the fucking debt problem, then we got a problem.
It sounds like the Treasury Secretary's been having him focus on the 10-year Treasury, because that's the Main Street number, right? That's what affects your mortgage rates and what affects businesses' lending rates. Like if, the Alfalfa Pod wanted to take a loan, it's based off of that.
And his self-interest.
In his
as a
own
real
self-interest
real
too.
estate mogul.
But it seems like he's more focused on that than the stock market price. But he hasn't truly been tested yet. It's only down 3%. So when it's down 10%, we'll find the real answer. I think he'll revert. He always goes back to like his core instincts, and I generally think that if the stock market's plunging past 10%, he might revert back to pumping the market, and maybe we'll see it in the back half of the year. Who knows?
I think people were so burned by inflation in the last cycle that they're clearly focused on that.
He campaigned on the whole thing, right?
As like, I'm going to solve this. And they need to be able to blame correctly as well, that this was something they inherited, and look at how we solved it. So we'll see.
False says, Ray Dalio says you can only lower interest rates if you're also cutting costs. Maybe Trump agrees, and that's why Elon has been let loose. I think his like lever with Elon is like, no, Elon, you need to make a better argument in public. Like you need to convince everyone, specifically bond buyers, that like you're cutting costs a lot, even if you're not. So your measure is the 10-year rate, and when the market doesn't believe you, the interest rates are going to go higher, and when they believe you, they'll go down. And so you know when to like start pumping your efforts if this 10-year gets out of control. Okay, let's switch gears a little bit.
Yeah.
We're now moving through the topics at like a briskly pace. I like
this is very fast.
So did you guys watch the Palmer Luckey interview or any of it? I mentioned it in a previous episode.
I feel so much shame.
Okay. Well, I said as long
this.
as one of you watched.
I feel so much
I
shame.
watched this, and I couldn't recommend this interview more.
Great.
Okay, so
you agree?
I have never even heard of this individual. I looked at him for 1 second with his little like goatee, and I was like, "Why am I watching this motherfucker?"
Probably worst type of facial hair out of all the combinations you could possibly have. Like goatee has to be like 6th tier.
The appearance is intentional.
Is it?
Oh yeah.
Does it give off a vibe? Like a
Nobody
essence?
does that unintentionally.
Okay, so he has that with the flip flops.
The flip-flops.
during the interview. Ugh. It's like, first of all, I like flip flops. Like I'm from San Diego. Like I'm kind of born in them.
Yeah, but
I'm like,
you don't have like Shrek toes.
first of all, my toes are stubs.
I have Shrek toes.
Yeah, you have fingers.
you have 20 fingers, sir.
Do you remember at my bachelor party we were on the beach in New Zealand and you guys all looked down at my toes? Do you remember this moment? It was hilarious.
Hold on.
I was getting like, it was funny because like, you know, in
like,
every bachelor
shamed?
party, like there's like a moment of like, we're going to like give you some shit. It was so funny. You guys don't remember this?
No, did you get self-conscious?
No, I mean, I love laughing at myself. I
don't
I'm
remember
doing it right now.
I think it was like purely organic. I don't
Oh,
remember
it was so funny. It was like this whole moment about like ogre toes.
What is wrong with
Yeah,
your feet?
yeah. It was so funny. No, I will not show my toes on the live stream. Move
I don't know. It could pump the numbers.
I could start an OnlyFans.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay,
Ugh.
so this guy Palmer Luckey has a
Ugh.
he's of Oculus fame. He started the company Oculus
Out of his garage.
and sold it for $2 billion to Meta, and now he's pivoted into military stuff. And what I was blown away by is, I mean, this guy's prowess in just like engineering, sort of like hands-on manufacturing stuff.
He's a total nerd, right? Like, and you got to love that for this type of entrepreneur, right? He's like
yeah.
into hardware and electricity and power management and everything that someone would be. And his like origin story is so pure. Like the reason it happened in the first place was he was just doing it for fun. And he started publishing his progress on a blog.
Well, he first of all started the blog, but he was
Yeah.
homeschooled, and he said he's like, yeah, I had a lot of friends, all these guys on my blog.
Oh yeah. It was like in his
Internet friends.
community or his like
But
forum.
it reminded me of like Alfalfa. I was like,
It's like the
shit,
Alfalfa
yeah, I talk to
community
people
for me.
all the time.
Yeah.
But like, I think that was
Are you
pretty
talking
cool.
to your internet friends, honey?
Yeah.
So anyway, yeah, his interest was so pure, and then he caught the eye of like people who were in industry, and I think Sony tried to like hire him at one point to help build their VR thing, and then he grabbed someone from his essentially Discord and was like, "We're gonna start this company, and we're gonna build this thing." He built it, and he had offers from like Microsoft and all the big tech companies, and Meta had the most, I guess, the highest offer, but also they said they were going to invest $10 billion into the business that he could use to grow the company. And watching him talk to the process of like which offer he took was really interesting. And then he had like there was a big like political issue. I don't think we need to go into that because that one's pretty talked about his exit from Meta. He like contributed to some PAC that like used his $4,000 for a billboard and then basically he said that Facebook fired him because he was a Trump supporter, which in I don't know when it was, 2020 was
Seems plausible.
Yeah, very plausible. Or 2016. In any case, yeah, I mean, there were so many fascinating parts of this interview, and he had thoughts that I had never heard before. And not only that, but like building new technology. So one, I was like, man, this guy could be one of the greatest entrepreneurs of our time and doesn't get enough play.
I thought that was pretty monumental.
Definitely
Actually,
doesn't
when,
get enough play.
when you introduced him to me, when you introduced the idea of him to me, you said he's the best entrepreneur of our time.
How big was
Not the
his
best. I'm
exit?
just saying he's like, you know,
He's up there.
yeah, he's up there. Like he should be
He's
considered.
up there, and I've never even heard of him. I mean, I don't like play in your
Well,
guys' realms.
Most
Like,
people in the tech world know of him.
Of
but
course,
yeah.
but, like,
how
this
how,
is,
how
like-
big was that?
I'm like a normal
acquisition?
person. like, never
2.1
heard of him.
billion.
Jeez.
And I
I've never
think-
heard of him. Like, I'm a normal person. I'm like a person who like knows.
Yeah, it doesn't have that like.
He's not Elon,
No, not even.
but I think like Nick's putting him in the
Close.
echelon of Elon.
Let me give you. Let's stay on that thread
I'd
because
say
like
that's being.
it's generous because like
generous.
he does one thing at a time. Elon does 5 things at a time. But let's talk
Elon's-
about
Elon's a
his
lunatic.
business
We should
model.
dedicate a whole episode to Elon.
I want to dedicate an episode to this guy.
Okay,
Let's start now.
down. Okay.
So one of the best parts about this business is he started essentially a defense company. He's building weapons for the U.S. military and our allies. And he took a completely different business model than a typical contractor, right? So a defense contractor, they do cost plus, right? So the government says, hey, we want you to build this this F-35 aircraft. And they go, okay, cool. We're going to charge you cost plus 25%. I don't know what the number is. And so whatever it costs to build them, even if they give them the budget, say the budget's $2 billion, they're like, we spent $5 billion. Now the government owes them $5 billion plus the
Plus the profit, yeah.
And Eric, you've worked at one of these defense contractors, BAE Systems. Did you see
Who works
anything?
there?
Yep.
Did you see anything that might have been a what's
First job
called
out of-
misaligned incentives?
First job out of college, I was a financial analyst, a corporate financial analyst
Oh,
at,
that's right.
at a defense contracting company, and I noticed firsthand how fucked up the incentives are in this world. So like, I would work on projects. You know, our projects would be like building tanks or building.
Ships.
Yeah, I think we had like the FA-18 Hornet. There were ships, and like on these projects, they would have the contracted dollar amount, and we could do better than the contracted dollar amount. Like we could like cut that by like 15%, and I would talk to my program manager, and the guy would be like, "No, we're gonna keep our engineers working on this thing even though it's done." And I'd be like, "Why?" He's like, "Because that's how we make our money, baby."
This is how people get jaded.
He talked about how they knew that if they did it for 15% cheaper, their budget next year would get cut by 15%.
Of course.
And they let just like
Completely effed up
intentionally overrun the bill, which we're footing.
Incentives are everything.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean these are common contract styles in defense. They don't. It's not exclusive to defense. My home was built under a cost plus
Yay.
arrangement, and the guy fucking 3x'd my my budget plan. So there you go. It's
So-
like natural.
The punchline for Palmer is that he was like, okay, we're going to do this differently. We're going to spend our own money to develop these products, and we're going to build them ourselves. We're going to hold inventory, and then if you like them, you just can buy them, and here's the flat rate price for it. So they built this like AI guided missile, you know, that can go up, and if they jam the communications, the missile can just float around and then figure out where it should strike. And he talks about this scenario. I'll get into it just a little bit. He's like, the missile can recognize, oh, that's a Chinese destroyer, and I know that the engine is located here. And if the missile, attack it at this vector, at this velocity, I will hit the weakest point of the ship, and it will break the engine. And if I don't break the engine, then the next missile will hit it as well. So anyway, he's like, he said his pitch deck for Anduril, which is the name of his company, is we're going to save you. We're going to make tens of billions of dollars by saving the government hundreds of billions of dollars. And so just on like being an amazing entrepreneur, he redefined the business model of defense contracting. And it's no wonder he's like one of the hottest private companies. They're winning contracts left and right. And I mean, obviously his technology is better. He mentions his missiles, as an example, use 90% less parts.
I'm gonna add this to my queue.
And
Okay, you got to add it to your queue, but I think
Sean Ryan, right?
Yeah,
was
that's
the
the Sean Ryan podcast.
You guys really like this pod.
Well, it's the first time I ever saw it, but
I like it because I like watching the military.
he's like a
stories.
military guy, right?
Yeah, he's a ex-Navy SEAL.
Oh yeah, you could kind of tell by his demeanor.
Mm-hmm.
But I want to talk about higher level about Palmer Luckey because you're getting really kind of into the weeds here with this guy. I think one thing I wanted to point out as like a guy who I'm someone who just was introduced to Palmer Luckey. I was blown away that for the first time that I can like really remember or grasp, it's like we have like our brightest minds working on an industry that's not selling ads or finance or like the typical markets that I'm used to seeing people go to make money. He's going to defense. He's going to military. And then it actually made me feel uncomfortable because he was like talking about building machines to kill people more effectively. And like that's his whole pitch. He's like, well, I'm for America and somebody has to do this.
Yeah.
I hate that.
It made me uncomfortable, but then I kind of got.
I like his argument. It's like a perfect argument for people who take their actual safety and security for granted, right? And he says,
"Whoa, I'm totally guilty of that, by the way."
Yeah. And so he's saying like, okay, do you want the current contractor and their current technology that doesn't kill people as effectively, meaning it has a more likelihood of killing civilians on the battlefield, and it costs you, the taxpayer, 10 times more. Right. So which one do you want? Like someone's going to sell them these weapons, and also if we don't build them, do you want like you could possibly live in a completely different world where there is another government that has weapons that can actually hurt us. We've never really experienced that in our lifetimes before, but we could be welcomed into that nightmare that we don't want to. And so he's saying, one, I want us to win. I want you to pay less money for us to win. And I want
to harm less civilians.
Yeah, because if we harm civilians, that creates more terrorists in the future. So his argument to me is pretty sound for like, yes, you are building a war machine.
No, it's awesome. I actually think it's like the first time where I see sort of like capitalistic incentives combating the military industrial complex. Mm-hmm. It's awesome.
Like he aligned the incentives in the right way so that money is flowing to him and probably will continue to flow to him.
And I think it's sort of awesome that we're American and so is he, because he seems like a great guy to have on our team.
Yeah, I agree.
Can we talk about some of the inventions that he's working on?
Yeah, you want to talk about those?
Yeah, because they're fucking fascinating.
We could tell Armand about them because like so one of the ones he talked about basically creating superhuman soldiers. So imagine so his core technology is VR, and the government
it's like the Oculus,
right? So the government has been trying to create this connected warrior program where everyone has like a helmet. But when they first bid it out, he only had 12 employees, and he's like, "Fuck, this is like my calling, but like I don't have enough people to do it." When you fast forward, he just became the prime on it. Like he took it over from Microsoft, who was building this thing. And what he's painting a picture of is not just like some tier 1 unit, like Navy SEAL unit, like every single warfighter, anyone who is looking at the enemy has all the sensors. So imagine cameras, sound, every type of sensor you can imagine. And they're all interconnected. So you as a soldier can see what Eric sees, even though he's 2 blocks down the street or maybe behind that wall there. So now you can see behind the wall. And you can also see the drones that are coming in your direction, how long it'll take to get to them, where he talks about, not only will tell you where it's coming from, but he'll say, this is where you should move so that you're out of harm's way. Like you need to go 50 meters to the left into this building.
Oh my
So he's talking about, he has this AI software called Lattice, which is a perfect name for it because it's just like this mesh network over all these devices. And he's like, you'll be able to hear things, down the block if you want. And he even talked about having the guns and the sights in the guns connected to this AI where not only will it just show you like a normal red dot, but it'll show you where the bullet will land based upon the wind and based upon your movement and their movement.
Telling you exactly where to aim to kill.
Yeah, so like, you just won't. He's like, there'll be a world where they just don't miss.
Right, and your heads-up display differentiates between friend and foe. So you see your guys. You're not going to shoot your guys on your heads-up display. You're going to shoot the enemy. You're going to like shoot them exactly where they're going to be. It's fucking epic.
And all this technology will be utilized by robots.
Eventually, he got to that. He got to that.
Yeah. So you want to talk about that part?
We're so deep in the singularity, it's not even funny.
Before he even got to the robot thing, we were talking about like exoskeletons on the soldiers. So he's like building like assisted legs where you can like lift heavier things because you have like
he cut his own mile time by like a minute and a half. He ran a mile
he
and
built exoskeleton legs, and he's like, yeah, I just ran an 8-minute mile. I'm fat and out of shape, but I just did it because I have these like, it's basically like an electric bike but for legs.
Yeah, so that was really cool.
And he's like, I'll get it down to 7 next week once I like fix the cooling system.
Oh my God.
Yeah, he imagined a world where like, because like Sean Ryan was like, are we gonna have exoskeletons? And he's like, probably not. Like you won't, because like that requires such a level of accuracy and no mistakes. Because if that thing can propel you into the air 10 feet, it can also rip your shoulder off, like right off, right? So he's like, we can't have this thing mess up. But what will be more likely is that you send in an advanced robot and someone at home is playing the robot in a remote area.
So he talked about this, like the idea of like just having robot on robot war. He described it as more likely that there would be like robot that's like guided by like the puppet master behind it.
Yeah.
Not like AI robots like making their own decisions like Terminator, but like a human behind it.
An army of robots controlled by an army.
What's that movie you mentioned?
Super Troopers?
No, the movie where
Ender's Game.
Ender's Game, where there's like video game players and they think they're playing a game, but they're actually controlling another human in the real world, and they don't know this, but it's actual war. Like when they die, a human dies.
Yeah, Ender in the story is like the mastermind. He's like the general of the army who's like directing the army in like a game theory optimized way to win. And you didn't realize.
I'm not ready.
So
none of us are.
Well, you don't have to be ready, because the point is that like I'm glad he's on our team. So like you don't have to worry about it. You just like let him do his thing.
My brain's somewhere else.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm in a different place on it.
Can we talk about the reason why it's important? I think the threat is important because he describes the threat of China as like a thing that we don't really think about.
Oh God, he said two things that I had never heard before. I had never really conceptualized. I'll say the two things and we'll go into each one because I think they're interesting. One is that if we had to defend Taiwan, we would run out of missiles in less than 8 days. And then two, the first missile to fly is not us or China at one of our ships. It's actually Xi Jinping calling up his diplomats in America and being like, hey, if you guys interfere, we're going to shut down all of Apple's factories. We're going to get rid of your special waivers. We're going to nationalize them. And we're going to make the iPhones. And I'm going to obliterate $2 trillion worth of market cap and kill all of your jobs instantly.
Yeah, he basically insinuated that like the risk to like global diplomacy is actually manufacturing, and like we take that for granted. We think like economists.
And Dalio just said the other day we will never catch up to China's manufacturing.
Oh, but he argues that we'll catch up immediately as long as it's the will of the people.
Well, I think because I've always said that we won't, and he does admit to the one fault, which is that he was like, what smart kid in their 20s now is like, man, I really want to become a manufacturing process engineer right now. He's like, no one, not a single one. And so we don't have any people to man these. He said the longest part will be actually training the kids on like, and making it like a job that people want to do. So he argues that like if we're at war, we'll find the way.
Necessity is a hell of a motivator. Yeah. I've noticed this in life, and the moment there's a necessity, I think the United States is very good at rallying around that, and we've like demonstrated that before.
Definitely.
Yeah. His whole worldview about how the U.S. should kind of be a part in terms of militarily to the world is that we should not be. It kind of stems from this: we'll run out of missiles in 8 days. So he's like,
yeah, let's dig into that.
So he's like, in 8 days, we'll run out of all the missiles. We gave a lot to Ukraine. We can't even give more Javelin missiles to Ukraine. Like we are completely out. We lost our mass manufacturing abilities. Like we can customize a $2 million rocket and build a few of those for you. That'll be amazing. But we can no longer make them faster than we would fire them in a war. And he's like, we need to get back to that. We need to get back to like mass production line manufacturers. Like, I don't even care if they're AI guided or not. Like we just need to build
we
those.
just make a fuckload of like dumb missiles. And he said that China is very good at making like non-complex products very quickly. And he's like, we've lost that. We can make very complex products slowly. But like, in an actual war, you need a fuckload of missiles because you can't have a war end in 8 days. China will outlast that and be like, we think China's like, we last on centuries long time horizons, and you're worried about 8 days.
And they know that fact too, right? So his viewpoint is we should stay out of other people's business, like not get involved in wars, but we should become the world's gun store. That's it. Like we're the world's gun store for our allies, obviously, and that's it. And he mentioned how China's shipbuilding manufacturing is 350 times what ours is, and that people always make the argument that well, they have less ships and they're less sophisticated. He's like, yeah, but did you know that every maritime ship, like civilian or business ship, is made to military specs, meaning it is ready to be
all of them.
All of them.
I did see that.
Each one of them. So they pay a higher cost per ship now, but it's like for a reason.
It's ready to slap some guns on.
Yeah.
And they'll militarize all those ships, and then they'll pump out way more ships than we can.
And I think this is the real trade-off we're talking about here, that like economists and globalists are really focused on, is like, how do you make like the unit cost lower now, but without thinking about like maybe these like fat tails or whatever.
Yeah, and he also makes the argument that like we should show the world that we can make these faster, because one, we have an enemy who like can do the simple game theory and be like, I just need to outlast 8 days of pain. And then also you have your allies being like, wait, they can't even help me if someone attacks me. Like, they don't even have enough. They can't even make enough of what I want to buy if I'm under attack. So like, why should everyone be on our side? And so those were like a few arguments that were new to me that like I never heard someone with that perspective make. And I thought they were really interesting and kind of, underpin some of the things that we take for granted.
Yeah, it's very good to understand the trade-offs along the way, like the trade-offs of tariffs and the trade-offs of like bringing manufacturing back home, even though it does like maybe in the interim increase inflation perhaps, but it's like, but what are we protecting ourselves against?
I mean, we have to start playing the long game at some point.
Yeah, even if it means like pain in the short term.
Yeah.
Okay, bull market's over.
It probably is.
And he mentioned Trump specifically. He's like, Trump, I think, actually understands this one risk factor, that like manufacturing coming home is very important.
Oh yeah, what'd he say? He's like, he innately understands that if you can't make anything, you are everyone else's bitch,
right.
Is what his quote was.
Well, yeah, he hates not having leverage.
That's it.
And I didn't even think about like Xi just calling Tim Cook and be like, hey, we just nationalized all your factories. Goodbye.
Mine.
You're done. Like your $2 trillion is wiped.
In a serious situation, that's a card. That's an available card.
And he's like, no one talks about this. He's like, does anyone dispute the fact that like, one, Xi can do that? Like, yes, he could. And two, would he do that? He's like, yes, he would. Everyone agrees on those 2 points. So like, why isn't anyone really discussing this fact?
Why are we protecting against this risk?
Right. And if you love the stock market and you don't care about war, like you might care about that part.
Yeah, you can't bet on harmony forever.
Rocket laughs about Super Troopers, and he talks about how Super Troopers was like, he reads a lot of sci-fi. You would actually like him because he's apparently read thousands of books. Like he was homeschooled, so his homeschooling was just he would get books from anywhere, and he became known in the neighborhood as the kid who reads books. So everyone just started dropping random books off at his house that they didn't want anymore. And in any case, he says Super Troopers is the inspiration for that headset I talked about that turns them into superhumans, because that was part of the sci-fi novel, that they had superhuman powers, could see behind walls, heads-up displays. He did talk about like a darker world, which I don't like, which is Sean Ryan asked him, what about for police? And he's like, well, I don't think police are ever going to be wearing RoboCop helmets, because it just doesn't look good when you're dealing with
interface with civilians.
Yeah. But he did say a world where body cams are not just this thing that's on the front of your chest that cops don't like because it gets them in trouble. Like, what if there were a 360 body cam and their Oakley glasses let them see all around them and alerted them to threats? Then they would view it as a tool, not this like liability that they would turn on. And so I don't really like the we go through these wars and we pass down all the weapon systems to like local police part, where all of a sudden you see like local police and SWAT teams have like military Humvees and military gear from like last decade's war. That's a little too much for me. I don't think we need that level for a local police, but he did talk about that a little bit.
How much of his whole spiel did you take as like entrepreneurial dreamermanship? You know how like entrepreneurs like Elon can like dream up some fascinating futuristic visions, but then like implementing them doesn't really happen. Like full self-driving was promised, a decade ago or something, and like we still don't have it. Like,
that's a good point.
One thing I wondered with,
according to people that have the latest beta, we have it.
yeah, I mean,
but I get your point, because he talks about, he was like, I don't think I can overstate it much how much of a leap in technology this new military system will be. He's like, it's a bigger leap this than it was when he started Oculus. Like he's making a bigger leap of current state technology now than when he first started Oculus. So I think it's because of a technology he knows. And there's a $22 billion contract on the other end.
right.
So he's got,
I've noticed that
massive
it's
incentive.
it tends to be reflexive. Like if you can like dream big and sell the dream, it becomes like more important than actually like executing, or it kind of like works hand in hand.
Testicular fortitude.
Yeah. And we talked about this, I think, on the last
testicular fortitude. I like that.
That's a Marty McFly trademark right there.
Yeah, we talked about it on the last pod.
My
where it's
favorite
like-
phrase of 2025.
but I think one thing that stood out to me was like, okay, so is this actually going to be warfare of like the immediate future, or is this guy just like?
I think it's a ways off, because he said
spinning a
the
good yarn?
current technology, which is not his, Microsoft's, but has issues like soldiers say they get dizzy, they have issues with it, and one soldier said, "This is going to get me killed." So he's
yeah,
like,
I can like speak to the Tesla that I drive currently. It has like a lot of bells and whistles that are unnecessary. Like it fucking screams at me like for no reason when I'm parking the car and it's like beep 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 beep. I'm like, yeah, I know, I'm close to something. I'm parking.
Yeah, he talked about a situation where a policeman is there talking to someone, and the AI senses like there's a guy opening a window behind you on the 3rd floor, and it looks like he has a gun, and it doesn't tell you that. It just says, jump here immediately. And you could definitely see where like cops are just like false positives, and they're jumping and leaping and freaking out and hopefully not shooting anyone.
Yeah. Oh my God, what a world.
Okay. I think we hit on Palmer,
What
the
a
highlights
world.
of Palmer, but recommend it. He's got different perspectives than most people I've seen. All right, let's talk Gen Z career angst. So I'm going to read off a few paragraphs of this Kyla Scanlon.
Do we have time for
tweet?
both?
Yeah,
you
we do.
think?
Yeah, we do.
Okay.
So Kyla, she said she spent the last 8 months traveling to 20 states talking to young people about their economic futures, and here's what they find. Gen Z faces a double disruption: AI-driven technology change and institutional instability. When I talk to young people, they're not just worried about finding jobs, they're worried whether careers as we know them will exist in 5 years. And she sees a barbell structure. So on one end, people are choosing trades over college debt, and on the other part of the barbell, people are betting everything on the creator economy, crypto, AI startups, et cetera, et cetera. The middle path exists, but is increasingly blurry. She goes on to tell you this like shapes identity. So like when someone sees a single viral TikTok that can outperform a year's salary, traditional credentials lose faster than you can earn them. Young people aren't just changing careers, they're developing fundamentally different relationships with economic reality. When I talk to people across the country, their concerns are greater than traditional political divisions. They're wrestling with questions of identity, meaning, and community in a world where traditional narratives about success and stability no longer hold. What looks like a conservative shift among voters might actually be something more foundational, a generation's attempt to navigate a world where institutions promise stability they can't deliver, where algorithms offer opportunity without security, and where the very nature of work and worth is being redefined. It's constantly evolving, and it's not just about politics. It's just the very nature of self being called into question.
This is fucking awesome and deep. And
Yeah, I mean, I really like this post because we've talked about this in different angles, and I think maybe she hit it a little tighter. But I guess my question for you is like, what do you guys think about this? And like, do you guys have advice for Gen Z? Because let's face it,
Yeah, what's the career to go into?
we're older now, so
Yeah, we've already got our careers.
yeah, you can't say you feel the pain of this either. You're not living it. You're giving advice to a younger generation. So
Well, fuck,
what would it be?
I've thought about my own career path, and I've like come to realize maybe something that is applicable more broadly. But in my career, I've noticed that like AI is just a tool that like a skilled, competent professional can employ to improve their ability to perform in the profession.
Yeah.
So maybe that's like more broadly applicable.
We get more productive, but when it's time for them to like live their highest earning years, by then it could just be the next level, which is being replaced.
Right, and maybe it like replaces that next wave of folks that like don't have the tools currently. Like I have the tools to like use AI to enhance my skill set, but somebody who doesn't have it, who needs to learn it, maybe they're just wiped off the face of the labor market.
I mean, I think she fucking nails this. Like, she's saying that the middle class career path, which, you know, we talked about this, like college, corporation, and then either pension or 401k, like that is for sure
The path.
that's what it's been, but that is most definitely broken because like they're realizing that the colleges themselves are extracting value out of them. Like they're not actually getting an ROI for them anymore. They feel like corporations, like as an employee, are extracting value. They're not seeing it as this like two-way relationship where they're getting the value for their money. So, you know, they're just opting out and they're saying, okay, let's just trade these for some high risk, high reward bets in the crypto economy or the creator economy because I don't see another way out. So what did you think when you saw this, Armand?
I think like ultimately the middle is being wiped out. And so this relates to like the next topic in some sense of agency over intelligence. High agency people do not face the disruption in a negative manner. Because the first disruption is AI-driven technological change. And by the way, Gen Z is already in the workforce for the most part. And so they're in it and they're just looking at it and saying, I don't understand like what to commit to, what to really build a career around, because what's ultimately going to happen is whatever I do commit to, whatever job or career path I have is going to become obsolete very quickly. But this sort of perspective is one that is true if you are somebody that is reactive and is looking for stability. But the types of people that are going to succeed going forward, so what's happening is that whole middle part of the workforce is getting wiped out. And so people are going higher up on the risk curve and saying, I basically need to figure out, there's kind of two options. Well, not even two options, but like the way people are reacting is independence. Like I need to be like a solopreneur of some sort or an entrepreneur of some sort, or I need to stay at the cutting edge of where technology is going. And the right answer, I think, if you have the mental capacity, is to like not look for stability, to actually stay on top of the technological developments, remain at the cutting edge of all times. You are the youngest generation. I just think that that what I hear and what I see, and I haven't traveled to 20 plus states, but I think I've talked to enough people to have some sense of the same sort of like pulse that she's picking up on, which is fear, uncertainty, doubt. It's a lot of FUD about the future, but all you have to really do is take life by the horns, have some agency, and jump on top of the innovations that are available that you were born into. Like, this is your generation. You built this. Like, there is so much opportunity if you actually embrace the change and you ride the wave rather than wait for the impact of the changes to occur and then say, well, what am I supposed to do with my life? I don't have a 401k. I don't get a pension like my grandfather did. I'm effed. Like, no, you're not fucked. Because if you just have this perspective and this way of living where you just need to stay advanced as long as possible, you can succeed. You will succeed. And so I just think, and then the institutional instability. Every generation has had institutional instability. Every single generation, every decade, there's been some form of institutional instability. It just feels more magnified. And in many ways, it is more magnified. So this goes to our fourth turning conversations. This goes to like, are we going through some sort of change? Is the whole system going to change? And if it did, what would you do? That doesn't mean that you should freeze. It's fight, flight, or freeze, and most people are freezing when they should be fighting. That's what I see when I look at the generation right now in front of me. I'm like, it's a lot of freezing. It's a lot of like just FUD and freezing and like, I'm fucked, so it's not even worth it. I'll just start an OnlyFans. And that's the wrong mentality. The right mentality is like, dude, this is the most incredible time to be a human being ever in history. Like, there is so much FUD, and the FUD is going to increase exponentially alongside the exponential technological advances. That's okay. They kind of go hand in hand. So don't be in the middle. Like, do something advanced, like to stay on top of things, and like just take action. Like, do something. I don't know.
I like all those.
I just spoke to students the other day at SDSU. I can feel the fear in their eyes, like in their questions, but also I feel the hunger, and they're just like, how do I navigate this? How do I make the right decisions? The right decision is to make a decision.
So it's actually, I want to build off of this like agency idea. It's funny because Sean Ryan in the interview with Palmer Luckey asked Palmer for advice on what would you tell a kid right now in like growing up now. And he kind of said something similar to this. He's like, well, I'd want the kid to like pursue something and like try it on their own and like get more proficient at it and get good. And I think my advice is along those lines. It's like hone a skill of something that you're good at that can be marketable. I think a lot of these skills that we're looking at, like AI is not going to disrupt a good salesperson entirely. AI is not going to disrupt a good plumber entirely. AI is not going to disrupt a good financial advisor entirely. Like a skilled professional in those endeavors can use AI to help them, but it's not going to eliminate the need for somebody skilled doing any of those jobs.
Yeah. I mean, I like both those. Mine were kind of like built like a combo of both yours. Like one thing is like, you have to come to the realization, like agency over intelligence, like no one is coming to save you in this case. Like you can't rely on a new president or a law or a policy to be like, don't worry, we'll save the jobs. Like change is coming, it's happening. So like you need to take agency over it. No one's coming to save you. I think both you guys said this too, but I agree. Like own the skills and not the credentials. Like before it was like, I have a BA in marketing. I have an MBA. He has a CFA. Like I've even seen people who submit resumes and be like, I'm Google Ads certified. I'm like, what are you talking about? Like, show me that you know the skill. Like, show me your past work. Like, so owning a skill, a high value skill, whatever it is, and use the technology, like you said, to like make that skill better and more productive. The other one about the barbell, I was like, play the barbell, right? Of like, but do it a little smarter. So, you know, instead of blindly just going in on a trade or like a risky bet, maybe try to have some stable income, right? So freelancing, trade work, remote job, whatever that is, and then use that to fund your asymmetric upside bets. And apparently it's, you know, in OnlyFans, crypto and AI or whatever, Fartcoin, right? So don't just chase a lottery ticket, but like do it a little smarter. And then kind of to like what Naval used to say, like build leverage. So you could do that through code, content, capital. Instead of trying to find jobs, like create opportunities where jobs want to find you. And the ultimate advice that will always, I think I'll always give is like, try to be on the other side of the owner employee thing. Like if you can not only just think like a founder, but try to become one, own assets, own your own
like
business.
One,
yeah. Operate like at the very least, operate like one, right?
Yeah,
I love that.
What I like about this post is that it's like deep work and understanding the psyche and the angst of a generation, right? It's like, this is our woe. This is our concern. This is our fear, our FUD. What I don't like about it is I just, again, maybe that wasn't the purpose of the post, but my reaction to stuff like this is always like, okay, great. You did such an awesome job telling us what's wrong. Well, what the fuck now? Like, all you did is make this generation feel worse. The opportunity that exists is bigger than the woe that exists. It's that simple.
Yeah, it's so funny because like I think like just a year ago we were joking that like the next job would be a prompt engineer, but I sat in a meeting today with 3 different prompt engineers. That's their job. Like one internal, he's doing a lot of that recently. He's a high paid person. The 2 other people that were on the call with us, they were sitting and tweaking our AI and just changing prompts and system instructions, and they had a little more technical expertise. But like it's funny because what we joked about is happening, and so there are new opportunities like this. This is funny enough
There are
a real
huge
thing now.
opportunities. Huge, yeah. It's a very seriously real thing. A great prompt engineer is an artist. It's someone who can really think from a first principles perspective about how to create something and how to bring something to life, and it's a real skill set, like for sure. But that's just one of many, many, many examples. I like the analysis, but I'm left with okay.
Don't just scare me, but like
What the fuck is the point? Like,
well,
yeah,
she does have this like longer article, which I didn't read the longer article. I
no,
imagine
neither
she
have I.
probably gives some kind of advice because she's a smart woman.
Yeah, no, and I mean, absolute, credit to Kyla. I don't know who you are, but it looks like just a long form version of the same thing.
Could be. She got popular because she was like good at explaining tough economic concepts on Twitter in like a minute.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, it looks like a very in-depth, long-form version of the same thing. I get it, but let's do something about it. I get, but that's just Armand talking. That's just me. That's how I always react to anything. I'm like, I don't want to sit around feeling bad, and I don't want the generation that is going to make my life, like all of our lives, better to feel bad. Like, I want them to see the opportunity for what it is.
Yeah, like
This is the best time ever to start a company.
I feel like these ideas and advice that we've kind of ended in the same place together is right. But I'd be curious if anyone is Gen Z or is a parent of a Gen Z. Like, does this fall flat? Is this not helpful? Like, I'm curious if there's a different perspective on it. So I don't know. Comment on the YouTube video.
But the generation
or
has
Discord.
also been brainwashed into believing that, okay, so we were the generation that also was fucked because we were born into the greatest global financial crisis. Like,
came out of college
ever.
on
The
like
day, basically, right? Like, when we graduated, it was like, and it's gone. The whole system is broken. The fourth turning has begun. Collapse. Things will not be the same as you know it. We're going to, print our way out of this, and the world will never be the same. Everything changed, like, at that time, 2008, 2009. But you could be a victim, or you could like find the opportunities and build a career. And so it's all about perspective. Life is always about perspective. And I think the same thing exists now. Is just like the problems might get bigger and they become more real, but like the world isn't ending. It's not ending. Like, is this what people think? Like, it's over? I mean, maybe we feel like the bull run is over, but it's not over. Like, we're literally in the singularity. There was this guy that posted this, like, Elon even like, did you guys see the guy that posted the like singularity tweet the other day? It was absolutely hilarious. And Elon tweeted like, yeah, edible marijuana edibles are fucking awesome. Like, he was, it was that kind of post from that guy. But like, we are living through the singularity right now in a level that I don't think people realize. And so the only thing you can do when things are moving so exponentially fast is to not get left behind. How do you not get left behind? Stay as incredibly curious and hungry and hardworking as you possibly can. Well, otherwise you truly will get left behind.
This is a good transition to the topic you wanted to get to, which is agency over intelligence. So do you want to pull up this tweet and maybe either read it or give an overview? Because it hit home with me when I read it, and then you actually got some job applicants from this post you made about it.
Yeah, so Andre Karpathy, vibe coding genius, former OpenAI founder, moved on. We can tinfoil about why. But he had this post that's really awesome. And he's like, I've been thinking about this wrong for decades. It's all about agency over intelligence. And I think this is due to a pervasive cultural veneration of intelligence, all this entertainment and media and obsession with IQ. Agency is significantly more powerful and significantly more scarce. Are you hiring for agency? Are we educating for agency? Are we acting as if you had 10x agency? And ultimately goes into an explanation of what agency is, but it's a personality trait. It's all about driving, making decisions. It's life happens for me, not to me. It's I have control over my domain and to a certain degree over my environment. It's about self-determination. It's ultimately about setting goals and crushing them versus the people that are waiting around for life to happen to them and saying, woe is me. And when you find these people, they're extremely scarce, as he's illuminating. And I think that's so true. I mean, if you really, really, really think about this, like, how many friends do you have? Like, everybody has a high IQ friends, but how many friends do you have that just like bulldoze their way through life? And when obstacles show up, they just say, like, the obstacle is the way.
You used to joke about when you hire, you like day one doers, and you were kind of like living out this concept without, it being present in your mind maybe, but you're like, no, I like people on day one. They're getting shit done because they take agency, they take ownership, and they know that they can do it. They believe they can do it, and they just do stuff on the first day they show up, and you're like, cool.
Yeah,
that's the person. I need to fill my entire company with these people.
Yeah, it's the greatest type of person. It's the ultimate test. Is like, do they show up and add value? Do they show up and ask, where can I add value? Where can I help? What can I take? Do they even sometimes these types of people don't even ask. They just go and they'll wait for you to set up the guardrails and be like, hey, Jim, maybe a little bit over here, a little bit over there. And these are the types of people you want. You want them to just like go. The very, very rare breed. And I think he's fundamentally corrects that we've been valuing the wrong thing. There was a other side discussion that I don't think we've ever had on Alfalfa, but I dropped something about it in our Discord about the multiple types of intelligences and how society has always been so focused on this one very specific form of cognitive intelligence, IQ, pattern recognition. And there's so many types of intelligence. Kobe Bryant was a genius, Lionel Messi is a genius. Ludovico Einaudi is a genius. Like, there's different types of genius. Steve Jobs is a genius, and not purely from an IQ sense. The creativity, the way that he deconstructs reality, the way he sees things. People are linguistically genius. Their verbal articulation of things. Yeah. This is not measurable by normal IQ tests. And we're valuing the wrong things in so many ways.
But you think above all that is this agency?
There's a through line, yes, of agency amongst the most intelligent. And I think there's a correlation to conscientiousness. Conscientiousness is defined as one of the 5 elements of personality as like highly hardworking, organized individual in a nutshell. But like a person who has high agency is probably highly organized and hardworking, but also someone that just takes control and goes. They're not just hardworking for the purpose of being hardworking. They're like, I also have the ability to shape my environment and make things happen.
Yeah, I'm sort of thinking now as I look to identify agency, just in like examples that come to mind. I'm thinking that it's a belief. It's like a belief. It's not like a skill, or maybe it is. Maybe it is a skill that you can hone over time. But something tells me it's like deeper rooted than that. It's just like something that you either believe it or you don't inside of yourself. You believe that you have control over your destiny, or you don't.
Yeah, it's funny you say that, because Jason Adams, our mutual friend, like I took a screenshot of this, I posted it to LinkedIn and Twitter, and then I was like, if you have high agency, reach out. And then Jason Adams was like, well, how do you screen for this? Because he's hiring all the time, and He has got this organization. You know, he's running this company, and he's like, this is what I want too. How do we find it? How do we know it's real? Is it innate? Is it something that's developed? And you're alluding to that. I think that it's both innate and a skill that can be cultivated over time. I think some people are born with agency, but I think most people develop it by failing and having a conviction that they have. The thing that's innate in them is that there's something more for them, and they're just drivers. They just want to grow. There's a growth element to that person's psyche. They just want to continue to push. And so I think it can be cultivated. I've gone through periods in my life when I was younger, like as a teenager, where I was like, I don't know. And I didn't have agency. I was, moments of victimhood. But most of the time throughout my life, I've had extremely high agency. But I know what it's like to be on the other side of that. And I think it's a skill set you develop.
I agree. I'm actually like remembering now, there's like a Twitter meme going around that says like, you can just do things. And it's like talking about people who do whatever they want, but like it's just like a funny remembering.
You don't have to wait for permission.
Yeah, you can just do things. And I think for people who like nurture their own agency, it starts with this like catalyst that says like, oh, you can just do things, and then you go try it, and you fail or you succeed, but then you like sort of learn over time that you can just do things. And you and Jason are talking about like, let's find people who have like actually discovered that you can just do things.
I don't have a good like filter, but I've noticed people in the interview process that have high agency are autodidacts. Like they are self-taught about anything. Doesn't necessarily have to be about what they're doing, but like when I was started to ask people like, hey, how did you learn that? Or how did you get into this? And then when they explain like, well, I started this little project because I wanted to know about it. And I, like your co-founder, Ian, one of the first things he talked about was like, yeah, I'm just really interested in AI. So like I heard this on a podcast and I went home and I just started building something around it. Cause like, I just want to see what it could do. And I was like, when you have like a story like that, and I've had a few stories like that and they've turned out to be like 10 out of 10 employees where you're like, shit, like we need to find more of those people with those type of stories. They just know how to self-teach them things. And if they don't have that, I try to like pull out how we would. Like I'm like, hey, do you know how to solve a Rubik's Cube? How would you do it? And then give them other examples like, hey, if I needed you to do this, you don't know how to do that now, but like, how would you do it? But it doesn't tease out, would they? Like if they saw a problem, would they just go and solve it without anyone asking them to?
Right.
And that's the tough part where it's like,
yeah, this is describing like willpower in a way.
Yeah,
it's like
yeah.
your will to do something.
I put them in 3 different buckets. And what's funny is like I found myself in each of these 3 buckets. And maybe people listening have also found them depending on the situation. So intelligence without agency, smart people stuck in analysis paralysis, overthinking. I've definitely done that.
Yep.
Agency without intelligence, relentless people who just brute force success through sheer willpower.
You definitely know that.
Definitely know that. And then you have the high agency with enough intelligence, not even high agency, high intelligence, just sufficient. And those people are unstoppable.
They're the best. Yeah.
And one of our team members, he listens to this pod, but I remember during the interview process, he was like, do you know people who like encounter a problem and just get stuck? He's like, yeah, I don't do that. Like I see a blocker and I just solve it. You don't even have to ask me to. I come to you with like, hey, I had this problem. And this is how I solved it. And in my head, I was like, okay, like this is a done deal. I'm so sold.
High agency individual. Yeah.
Right.
There's this piece in the end of the tweet that says psychologists tie this to concepts like locus of control. High agency folks lean toward an internal locus, feeling that they steer their fate, while low agency folks might lean external, seeing life as something that happens to them. And it is a belief, as you were saying, Eric. But that's a belief that can be cultivated.
Totally.
Man, that locus of control is so important. Like I remember in my freshman college psychology of personality, for some reason that concept stood out more than anything I remember. That and read Think and Grow Rich. But in any case, yeah, maybe we can find tests that test locus of control to filter people out, because that would be fascinating. Because you definitely don't want someone who has an external locus of control.
Yeah,
But
I think
but you see it all
think
the
on
time.
Big
Oh,
Five.
I mean, walk around every day like some like the government is fucking me over. Like Biden is fucking me over. Trump is fucking me over.
Right,
It's like,
right.
okay, well, you're done for.
Yeah. Yeah, there's definitely probably ways to test. I mean, from a personality perspective, I think like high conscientiousness on the disc profile, the higher the I, it's like the individualistic metric. That's very much like trying to determine the person's like agency in a sense. But yeah, there's probably even a test specifically just for this. But that aside, it's like in life, these are the people I like to be surrounded by. Like people that are a victim, it's just it's draining. It's just kind of draining. Like I think everybody wants to be around positive, high agency people.
Yeah, Chad is asking, interesting thought. At what age do we develop or not a locus of control? Like, at what age do you start to develop this agency concept?
I was thinking the same thing, and I was thinking with a baby on the way, this is like one of the main things that I want to give to little Josephine.
I mean, I developed mine very young out of circumstance of like, okay, I just need to develop a strong locus of control, probably around 8 or 9 years old, I remember. But I think for most people, yeah, by the time you kind of like hit puberty, become a teenager, you start to naturally develop it. And I don't think my brain really started working until I was like 25. So like, I mean, they know from mansplaining brain science perspective, the frontal cortex isn't fully developed until 25. And I genuinely feel that I was like a child before the age of 25. Like I literally was like, just
I think it goes back to
barely functional.
I don't know the exact answer to Chad's question, but I think what I do know is that it goes back to what Nick has mentioned on the pod many times. Is like it's helpful to hang around people who nurture that. And like I just know in my own experience, growing up, like in middle school, I had friends that were like, "Hey, let's launch a website," and like they were going to launch their own website. I started my own Padres fan website that had like ads on it. I was getting 5 cents per click on my ads, and
Nice.
like as a middle schooler, and that's like a way that it just like kind of develops your agency where you're like, oh, I can just like do something and just create it and then profit off of it or whatever, like I think
There's a study, I don't remember the figures of like the impact off the top of my head, but when you sit next to at work someone who is an underperformer, your performance level drops drastically. If you sit next to someone who's a high performer, your performance increases as well. But being around people that have like low locus of control, victim mindset, negative in general, are severely going to handicap you. But there's a direct correlation that's proven scientifically between being around high performers and the impact that they have on you versus the lower performers.
Yeah, I love that old adage, like you're the average of the 5 people you hang around the most.
Yeah, they just basically tried to create social science experiments around that to see the impact, and it's like fundamentally true. If like the guy in the cubicle next to you is like staying late, working harder, being positive, like you're going to work harder. That person's setting a higher bar.
Totally.
If the person next to you is just being a jackass, complaining, leaving early, and being like, fuck this place, you're going to start to hate your job too. It's very simple.
so I think with like daughters on the way, they'll probably learn some through osmosis through us, but then I also want
Their
to
friends.
encourage them to hang out with people like that too.
And also maybe learn by doing, right? Like
Totally.
if they ask you a question, it's like, what could we do to just,
Right, instead of like just telling the answer, like going and like working on the answer.
right.
That's it.
Saw this video that to instill more confidence in a child, do less for them. Like
Yeah.
our concept of, the most successful parents, especially ones with like wealthy backgrounds, they want to like help their children. So they tend to overdo it. And every time their child runs into an obstacle, they fix it for them. They solve it because they don't want their child to suffer. But every time you do that, you take their confidence away from them.
Their agency. away.
Yeah,
Their agency.
exactly.
Ugh, that sounds terrible.
Exactly.
I don't want to do that.
They're like, well, Life will solve it for me. And then all of a sudden, they're 25 years old. They look around. The institutions are falling apart. And technology is exponentially increasing in front of my eyes. I'm going to be jobless. What do I do, mommy? That's where it started. And there's a cohort of people. That's why I don't think that this examination, by the way, is fair. The previous one.
Yeah.
The examination is not fair because it's just focused on like the middle of the curve, the average. It was just like, I went out to 20 states and here's what I gathered. But did you talk to the outliers? Because the outliers are crushing it in Gen Z, in Gen A, in Gen everything. The outliers are always crushing it. And we should be studying the outliers. We should be studying the people that succeed. Because those are the, like, yes, we can sit around and talk about what's wrong with a generation, but I don't see the utility in that.
We should study the feet pick sellers on OnlyFans.
Armand studied.
Yeah.
His finger toes. He's trying to learn. He's trying to learn what to do.
I used to walk on my toes as a kid. I can show you some tricks, man.
All right, guys. That was good. We
was
got
good.
through all 10 topics in
Damn.
somewhat of a
That was a docket.
yeah, that was. It was fun.
It's quite a docket.
Well, like the video if you haven't already. Thanks for sticking with us, chat. Love you guys. Thanks for being in here. And yeah, share the episode with a friend if you liked it. That's how most people find the pod. And we think Steven might be in ETH Denver. So if you're going to the event, yeah, hit up the Discord and find out where everyone is meeting up. It sounds like regardless, the crew's going to meet up. I know the crew has an Airbnb together.
Bierstadt.
Bierstadt Lagerhaus, same
I
place.
mean, I got a text Thursday, 5 p.m. Mountain Time.
Yeah, there you go.
Here, what's the name of the place? I'm just gonna say it
Bierstadt
on-
Lagerhaus.
Bierstadt Lagerhaus. Great spot.
Same place
If
as
you've
the
never
last
been,
2
go.
years.
5 p.m. It's on.
Lovely.
We'll see if we can drop a credit card or something.
All right, guys. Thanks for joining. We'll see you next week. Have a good week, everyone.
Peace.
Bye.
Later.